channel.
Marketing Dividends, presented by the Australian Association of National Advertisers, inspiring responsible, innovative and respected marketing.
Welcome back to the program. Well, in just a moment, we'll delve deeper into the business reinvention and how product innovation and marketing work together, as well as the competitive landscape for Australia's biggest retailers and marketing dividends. But first, let me quickly check in on how the market is doing. And we are watching the Australian share market up by about 0.3%, so losing a little bit of steam. We did have that retail sales data out at 11:30, and we've just heard from the federal government that they will be hauling the big four bankers in front of a House Economics Committee once a year from here on in. And the Australian Banking Association has responded, saying that it is to call for transparency on interest rates. So we'll continue to follow this story throughout the hours. Okay, into marketing dividends, where Australia's leading advertisers reveal how they tackle today's business challenges. Joining me today is James Hier, he's CEO of MEC, and today's guest is Kmart General Manager of Marketing, Michele Teague. Michele, it's a pleasure to have you in. Thank you for joining us. Can't have you here without asking about that retail sales data. It was pretty dismal for the month of June. Does that make your job more important? Does it make it more difficult?
I'm almost embarrassed to say that we're in double-digit growth. So you know, look, it is difficult. I mean, the dollar has been a challenge for the last 2 years for us. However, I guess when you're the lowest price in the market, there's a lot of people trading down. Although you know, there's always challenges, but we're in double-digit growth. So.
I mean, that's been the challenge this month, but you can cast your mind back 8 years ago to where Kmart was, not necessarily a basket case, but probably pretty close. What's really been the turnaround story where you've got Facebook fan groups, Kmart lovers? What's been going on?
Yes, we do, including your EA, Rosie, who's telling me she's a huge Kmart fan. I wasn't there eight years ago, but there is still a core group in our leadership team that are still there. And it really was, those two stereotypes, you've got to stem the bleeding and differentiate or die. And so they went around completely re-evaluating both the back end of the business and how we sourced and developed products, as well as the consumer proposition. And I think, so the story goes, Wesfarmers would have sold it if they could have found someone to buy it. And it's just been a massive turnaround story. And if I focus on the consumer proposition, there was a very bold decision made to go everyday low price and to go as a volume play. So it's all about EDLP. It's all around selling masses and masses of product at very low prices, the cheapest that we can do. And it's more around profit dollars than playing that kind of typical retail margin game.
I'm curious to know, when it comes to Kmart lovers, Kmart addicts group, Kmart hacks, all of those various groups that are out there, does marketing have a role in that, or do you participate in it? Do you help encourage those types of things?
So we love them. They are amazing. They are our fans. So we made a decision that we weren't going to manipulate that. We think that it's much more authentic, and I think some brands have really come unstuck when they've got involved, and we've certainly had approaches. But we will form a relationship with them. We clearly don't pay them. The most we would do is give them product samples, and we let them go. And it's got a life of its own. And of course, we're very active on social media ourselves.
I mean, part of Kmart's formula is own brand, but if the brand has no value, that's a really difficult proposition to sell. So how did marketing try and raise the profile of Kmart in this turnaround?
So I guess the role of marketing has largely been a brand building and an awareness exercise through that whole process. We are officially out of turnaround, by the way. So at our conference last year, Guy Russo announced the turnaround is over. We're going into the next phase. So the role of marketing in those days was much more around awareness of that new proposition, the huge surprise that how do they do it for that price moment? But now we play a much more strategic role in the business. We have developed our business to a point where 80% of Australians are through our doors a minimum of every 3 months. So it's much more around our different product categories, developing strategies for them. We have spent a lot of money on insights. I think I was saying to you earlier, I've worked in supermarkets and categories like that. FMCG have all this Nielsen data data at their fingertips. To me, that, you know, the roadmap's laid out. We're in the process of trying to build that for ourselves, build understanding of shares in different segments and what those insights are, how we can go after new evolving categories, what are the aspects of quality or trend that we need to develop in new products. So marketing's playing a much more strategic role now.
I'm curious, we won't perhaps talk about the cannibalization that's been talked about that's going on between Kmart and Target. However, I'm curious.
Cannibalization?
I did watch 2 of your ads side by side, and there were some similarities. But leaving that aside, let's talk about some of those big international brands that are coming in, the Zaras, the H&Ms of the world, the Forever 21s. How are you addressing that sort of threat coming from those bricks and mortars? So,
you know, you have to have perspective about that. I think some retailers have cited their entry for their results. You know, those are amazing businesses, but, you know, we have over 200 stores. There's a handful of stores. They're largely apparel-led. We have a much broader base across general merchandise and apparel. And, you know, the brands like Zara, they're in that fast fashion kind of category. Our apparel play is much more around everyday casual, basics and wardrobes, you know. So we think that we're playing a different game, and I can honestly say I don't think they're affecting us, as perhaps they might do a more broad-based apparel department store. Mm-hmm.
Are they more a source of inspiration for you? I'm looking at, you know, who inspired you as part of the turnaround, and then who inspires you going forward?
So I think certainly in the days when they were trying to say what is the proposition that's going to revive this behemoth, I think brands like Primark and H&M you know, have often been cited. And I think going own brand, so we're 80% own brand, which is something a lot of people don't understand. Re-engineering our business to be this huge product development business. We have 45 designers in our office here, and we have designers and product sourcing specialists in 5 offices through Asia. So a lot of the ways that those business operates, Zara, while their product isn't really in our apparel set, the way they re-engineered their supply chains and brought things quickly to market, I think that inspired a lot of retailers. And I think it's great. I think, you know, it's a good example of how people break out of the category norms. Another good inspiration, and in that ilk, is IKEA. You know, we think we've broken category norms. You know, most discount department stores would have fairly cheap fixtures and cheap stores. Our stores are bright and beautiful. Our product's design-led. So, you know, we like to think we've broken our category norms, as IKEA did. I love their value proposition. You know, they say, we provide the design and the quality, and you guys put it together, and that's how we keep our prices low.
In terms of bricks and mortar, though, there seems to be a big drive to online. People are always talking about Australia being behind the curve in online retail. What's Kmart's thought on this? So
we're absolutely committed to online, and we are selling online. But I guess, like everything we do, we wouldn't do it if we couldn't make money. That's, you know, that's what we're about. We have just launched apparel online. It's incredibly difficult for you know, a company of our scale with the number of SKUs that we have. I guess the big challenges are inventory management. So we sold 42 million T-shirts last year. That's more people than in Australia and New Zealand. So managing, you know, inventory accuracy of where are they in the supply chain at any given time, let alone when you're trying to do a pick model for online orders, hugely challenging. And then, of course, the cost. We're already the lowest price in the market, so we can't bury those costs in the margin. So having said that, we're in that game, and we're enjoying it, and we expect it to grow.
I'm curious to know who you try to, I guess, attract through marketing when it comes to online in particular, because we often think of millennials as generation, you know, X or Z or wherever we are at right now as being the key shoppers online. However, we had an app report out just yesterday showing that it's actually 35 to 40-year-olds who are doing a lot of the shopping online. So who do you target? What's your target audience when it comes to online?
So, you know, I believe I'm not really very ageist in this sense, and there's a lot of debate about millennials and Gen Zs and what have you. I think we're more about the things that are common across age groups, and I think there's more similarities than differences in our business anyway. At the end of the day, we sell everyday products. We sell the things that are in the top drawer in the kitchen, or the first thing you reach out of the cupboard to put on in the morning, and that's what everybody needs. So, but it is interesting with that growth online. I mean, there was a great quote a few years ago by a guy debating young people about digital, and he said it was our generation that invented the internet.
Yeah, right.
You know, so come on, it's been around for 20 years. I think people are using it in different ways, and we don't specifically target age groups. We're more interested in the needs-based of particular product segments and who's in the market at any given time.
I mean, your success on social, 350,000 followers on Instagram. How are you fusing that at the cold, hard end of the till?
Oh, I love that number. We grew that to 250% last year. We grew Facebook 50% last year. So we love social. There's been a lot of debate about social recently, and I think they focus on fan numbers. We've got big fan numbers, but they are amazing channels. And particularly for us, we can use social in a way we can showcase products that typically wouldn't make it into mass media like TV or catalogues. And we can showcase a richer engagement about the benefits of those products. And then in terms of sales, it's great. I love geo-targeting. We can geo-target stores, and we can benchmark and control stores against sales of products in specific outlets. We're also doing a test at the moment with Facebook, where they are actually following people using GPS on phones and seeing whether, after they served a message, whether they're going into our stores. So the metrics are there. It's about having the right strategy and the right effectiveness framework in order to just bring it back to the sales.
Social is a lot about advocacy. You talk about customer advocacy as being the way forward for marketers.
Yes.
Would you like to elaborate on that?
Yes, absolutely. I think it's hard to find the perfect marketer. It's a mix of science and art, as we know, the dark arts. So getting that commerciality and that creativity is vital. But increasingly, you know, 101 marketing said, you know, the 4 Ps, you know, the FMCG marketer would control all the Ps. I don't think any marketers control all the Ps anymore, particularly in the big services and retail organisations. So our ability as marketers to connect the organisation with the customer and to be the conduit for the customer and the organisation in order to deliver a consistent value proposition across all the touch points, I actually think that's what our job is. It's not just advertising.
Well, last word. Pretty good last word. Let's leave it there. Michele Teague, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate it. So Michele Teague is the General Marketing Manager at Kmart. And also, of course, James Hier, thanks for coming in, CEO of MEC. That's Marketing Dividends for this week, this month, in fact. Stay with us. We'll have more on some of the day's best and worst performers on the market. Julie Lee from Bell Direct is next.
Marketing Dividends, presented by the Australian Association of National Advertisers, inspiring responsible, innovative and respected marketing.